The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show, E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host, Ranmay here. And today we have Brian Steck, who is the owner and lead developer at Steck Insights Web Design with us. Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Real good. Thanks for having me, Ranmay.
Great. Brian, before we move any forward, I would love to rewind a bit, about your childhood. How were you as a kid, growing up, and how come you got into the digital marketing niche, into web development, web design? Just give us a bit about yourself and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. I grew up under a hardworking dad who was a general contractor. So we homeschooled through a lot of our high school experience. And so when we weren't good, we went to go work with him as we got to see the principal, which meant we went to go hang drywall and swing a hammer. And so I got used to seeing someone working hard, but also working for themselves. And there's the benefits and the difficulties that come with that. And but there's something in me, maybe just by observing him and breaking down the walls of being afraid of working for myself, that I liked. And so from the time I was a kid, I would go and mow lawns, or I wrote a newsletter. And that's probably where a little bit of the design and development started to come from, is just orchestrating a newsletter in Microsoft Publisher or whatever the app was. And then, just always finding little ways to earn some income that were on my own versus getting a job. So that's kind of how the self-employment side started. And then specifically in the digital world, that was just, I had been interested in the web during high school and had, you could view source and see the source code behind a page. And I was always curious, what was it that made this page work? And then that was still kind of in the early stages of the internet, but I just started learning about it then. I really thought I wasn't nerdy enough to understand PHP and all the complicated coding languages out there. So I kind of gave it up for a little while, but one thing led to another, and I ended up helping out an organization who needed help with their website. And next thing I knew, I started telling people that I was building a website, and then they'd ask for me to help with theirs. So that's kind of my backstory.
Lovely. And give us a bit about Steck Insights, how it all started. Growing up, like you mentioned, obviously you must have been a hustler throughout, right? Starting your own, that entrepreneurial journey when you started, you have a lot of challenges, right? Setting it up, hiring team when required, getting those first few clients through the door, delivering the finances, invoicing, and all of that, right? It has its own challenges. So tell us through it all started and those early challenges that you would have faced.
Yeah, great question. Getting started, it came out of a season where I was, waking up at 4:30 in the morning to work at a coffee shop, and then I'd go from there to class, and then from class to teaching music and guitar and drum lessons. And I was driving all over the planet. And then sometimes I'd get off early enough to go hang some drywall with my dad. And so the days were full with hard work. And after a while, I was kind of burning myself out and saying, wow, this is a lot of work. And I'm just trading my time for dollars. And so when this web design thing started to come around, I was like, wow, I really love this. And it has the perk of being able to work from home or wherever I want and set my own hours. And so that started to entice me, at least saying, I think this is more of a fit for my gifting, as well as just the lifestyle that's connected to it. And that's kind of when I realized that, I said, you know what, I'm going to start to let go of the jobs that are wearing me down the most, and take a risk. And so it was around 2009, I jumped ship and decided to go all in with web design. And at that time, I really didn't have a whole lot of clients, but it was just a matter of telling people what I did and starting to serve them one at a time. And little by little, they would tell their friends, or people would see, our link on the website. And so that's how it started. Some of the challenges, I worked for myself for a few years and by myself, were actually when we moved out to Colorado from Chicago, we joined a ministry, and my time was sucked up into the ministry. About 50% of it was caught up in there. And I just could not be gone on these ministry trips. We'd be backpacking with college students and doing, great, leadership development with them. But I couldn't also be working my job. And so that tension is what forced me to realize I need to hire some help to help keep things moving while I'm gone. So I didn't necessarily have in my mind that I was going to build a company and start an agency. It was more that there was a problem and you're faced with that problem, then you solve it. And honestly, I think if more people leaned into solving problems for themselves versus asking someone else to solve them, this world would be an incredible place. And so that's just a little bit of the story. So there's plenty of hurdles along the way, and I'm happy to talk about those. But many people would look at maybe where I'm at now, younger folks, and say, wow, you just figured it out, right? Or it just happened. And I don't know that it's that clean. You don't just arrive. It's day after day solving problems. And so it leads you to where you are today. So yeah.
100%. Can't agree with you more on that one, Brian. You got to start somewhere and you'll have your own hurdles throughout. And even if it might seem to the outside world that this guy's made it, but still there are challenges day in, day out. But yeah, I mean, given all that you kind of have hustled your way through, how is life now?
Yeah. Well, we've got 4 beautiful kids and live in sunny Colorado Springs, so we're really grateful for that. My wife and I have been married 17 years. The company itself is always facing new challenges, but there's 9 people on our team now. And thankfully, I think we all really enjoy each other and enjoy doing the work we do. And generally, we really love our clients and we really want to see their businesses succeed. Life feels great, and there's always the next hill to climb. So I think it's always a matter of trying to enjoy the ride while you're also achieving the next hill and realizing that the next hill won't necessarily bring more pleasure. It's about being present and enjoying today. So
lovely. Take us through the culture that you have tried to build at your agency. What is Steck Insights DNA, if you were to kind of, give us.
Yeah. We first and foremost are people that enjoy each other. So as we're bringing on contractors to work with and kind of developing our team, we really start with, do I enjoy you? Are you someone that I would like to hang out with? Because we're going to spend a lot of time together. So we really do. We care about each other. We know about each other's family and the struggles, and we pray for each other and listen to each other. And so there's a lot there. And I think culturally that has to come from the top down to give freedom to, hey, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to have a rough day and come in late because you're like, hey, I got some family issues. Those things happen. So part of it is just a really relational aspect. And we try to also extend that to our clients just because life happens. And as much as we want to be perfect all the time, that's not realistic. And so we try to have grace when that's needed. As far as some of the cultural maybe principles, I'm a big fan, really enjoyed the books from Patrick Lencioni, and he writes a lot of books on teamwork and dysfunctions of a team, etc. And one of the things that I heard him talk about, he's got a book that's called Hungry, Humble, Smart. And this idea of you got to be hungry. You got to have that hustler mentality of saying, like, I'm gonna conquer this problem. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna procrastinate. I'm gonna push through. I want to solve it. I want to grow. I want to get better. Humble is a lot to do with just being willing to learn and not having it all figured out. And then the smart piece is not only an intelligence, but also an emotional intelligence to just be aware of the room and be considerate of the people around you. So those are some of the principles that I think we try to live with and try to encourage and celebrate as a team.
Lovely. I'm going to take a couple of points out of that book. And, talking about your agency now, Brian, what specific systems, tools, or processes have kind of made a significant difference in your overall agency's productivity and operational efficiency?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's no affiliate marketing here, so I'm just telling you, what I use. Some of the things that have made a huge difference is when I shifted from keeping track of invoicing on my spreadsheets and documents to shifting to an invoicing tool. We happen to use Harvest for that, but you can use whatever works for you. The ability to track time for your team and have that immediately show clients, hey, this is the time we worked for this project, and this is why it costed what it did, and here's a detailed list of what we did. That whole thing has made my life so much easier, especially with recurring reminders. I would find hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of uninvoiced work we had done just because we were, running with our heads cut off for a while and trying to get it all done. You forget to do the business side of, getting paid. So that has made things a lot easier. Another huge benefit was another author is Mike McAllowitz. And if you can't spell that last name, go to mikemotorbike.com. And one of the things he talks a lot about, Profit First was one of his books, and Pumpkin Plan. And in Profit First, that one had a huge shift for us because it changed us from using one account where we're just like, well, I think there's enough money to pay all the bills, and you're constantly spending and receiving out of that account, to splitting it into several accounts, which allowed us to really see clearly, okay, that's my tax account, and that's my operating expenses, and here's my contractor account, and here's our profit account. And so since we shifted to that, we saw recurring growth and profit at the end of the year, realized, wow, we actually are being profitable as a business. Because there's those times as an agency, you're like, is this even worth it? Maybe I should get a job at McDonald's because at least they pay consistently. So those have been two big wins for us. There's probably many more, but those ones come to mind as being some of the biggest catalysts for growth for our team.
Lovely. Talking about, your clients, and then you would be speaking with a lot of businesses, right? Clients, prospects, and, businesses in general. So what are the top mistakes, you see businesses make when trying to build efficient, high-performing remote teams?
Yeah, that's a great one. I don't know we talk with a lot of clients, so I can speak a lot to their businesses and especially on the marketing side. But so I don't know the intricacies of how other remote teams work, but I do know what's worked for us is reducing, there's another great book, and I'm blanking by it. It might even be Patrick Lencioni again, but it's called Death by Meeting. And some businesses just, they love meetings, but you're just talking about things and never getting anything done. And the beauty of that book is it actually suggests more meetings, but smaller meetings, quicker meetings. And they're really to the point. And so we've made it a habit of using our communication tool, which happens to be Zoom, to set up more quick meetings just to, let's hash it out. Let's get to the bottom of it and let's move on. No emailing back and forth and waiting for responses. So we start our week with a tactical call, and that helps us all get on the same page and make sure, okay, here's the work we've got lined out for the week. Here's some red flags, some issues. And out of that call, we figure out who is overburdened with work and maybe who is underwhelmed and needs more work. And so we help negotiate that work and delegate it then. And then we also have small meetings, like 10 minutes or less, with our management team and our project managers throughout the week, just to touch base and make sure that there's nothing being dropped. So the goal isn't to just have meaningless meetings for no reason, skip them if you need to, but the goal is to increase the level of communication for that remote team so that there's no gaps in communication. We use a product called Monday to handle our projects and to keep the communication there versus getting it sucked into email, which is so easy to get lost, and it's the worst. And then we use our Zoom communication for chat for just those quick questions, because we don't want a project to get held up because someone didn't see a notification or etc. So yeah, that's a little bit of what's helped our team. I don't know how other teams work. I'm sure they've got their own solutions, but this has worked for us.
Nice. Now, Brian, you have been in the space for quite some time now, right? But looking back, what were the early mistakes, probably that you would have done or, seen entrepreneurs doing around you that you would advise our young listeners who want to make a mark in their entrepreneurial journey to kind of avoid if they're starting out now?
Yeah, two-edged sword. One is don't be afraid. Go ahead and get your hands dirty, try things, figure stuff out, and make mistakes. That by far, people are hesitant to jump into business or to start their own agency or to become, a creative designer or developer just because there's a lot of unknown. So don't let fear hold you back. And the same side, stay humble. Think you have it all figured out. That's the two-edged sword, I think, to start with. And then I think as you get started, realizing that you will wear yourself out. I'm forgetting the name of the book now. It'll come to me. But the idea of working in your business versus on your business, so many people just get stuck working in the business, and they chain themselves to the business and they do all the work themselves, and it wears them out. It burns them out. That's where most agencies die, is they just say, this is exhausting. Working on your business is being diligent, implementing the Pareto principle, where 20% of your time produces 80% of your efforts. Do the hard work to figure out what are the things that are most valuable that I can do, and what are the things that I could pass on to someone else. You have to delegate. If you don't delegate, you die. I don't know too many businesses that can exist with one person wearing all the hats all the time. So I would say, as quickly as you can, start to train people. And the rule of thumb there is that if it'll probably take 5 times as much time to train them as it would be to do it yourself. And you just have to get over that. You have to understand that it's okay for it to take more time to train them, because not long from then they'll be doing it forever, like you trained them to do. And so you will eventually cross over that profit line where it makes more sense for them to do it. And so that's hard when you have to have grace for them as they're learning and as they're figuring it out, and just know that, hey, there's going to be time I'm going to have to coach them and tweak it, and also give freedom to let them do it differently. If you're smart and you put the right people, you put the right people on the bus, you be the dumbest person in the room, get smart people around you, and then trust them to do it in a more creative way. So that's where that humility piece comes in, of not having to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm very glad you mentioned that, about delegation and about people whom you are coaching kind of doing things differently, because they're different from you, right? That he or she is a separate human being with different skill sets, different cultural background, thought processes, right? It's good to have kind of getting the same tasks done, right? Via multiple, processes.
Yeah.
And then you as the ship, then you can figure out which is the best way that kind of works out, and then pilot the entire process. But at least, it's more brains at one thing. So you would have variety, and, obviously there's always room for split testing, right? So that's one thing. And you also have to let go. I mean, that is one thing, Brian, which I really found in a lot of business owners to kind of, really, really kind of not being very comfortable with, kind of have this thing wherein they have controlled things for quite some time. I mean, look at you. You have been, leading the ship for what? Last 14, 15 years now. Yeah. And one fine day, if you have to delegate something which is like, critical, but should be delegated, it will take time. So it's very important to kind of let go at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I have kind of two principles there, but one of them is I never want to delegate things that I'm not willing to do myself. So it's not about just getting rid of the job that you're like, okay, this is a bad job, I don't want to do this, let me get rid of it. You have to be willing to do the work yourself. And if it's a terrible job, don't make someone do it. Figure out a way around it. Don't force someone to do something that they hate. And the other principle is trying to figure out what people are best at and what makes them come alive. Because I also don't, I don't want other people just trading time for dollars. I want them to come alive and feel like they're passionate about their work, actually enjoy it, to get done with the day and say, wow, that was a lot of hard work, but I'm so glad I got to do that job. You don't want them locked in where they just feel stuck all the time. And so that's a process. And that takes, we do quarterly reviews with our team just to see how are you doing? Where are you miserable? Can we remove those from your plate and get you operating in the things that you love to do, that you do best? That doesn't mean it won't be hard. There are days that are hard, but to continually tweak and to fine tune that machine so that everyone's operating at their best. That's the goal.
And then here is the thing. I mean, we're all humans at the end of the day, right? Anyone on your team, I mean, just look around. It's human nature. They'll always be wanting to do the stuff that the boss does, right? That is where they want to kind of grow and level up, right? I mean, who doesn't want growth at the end of the day, right? I mean, and doing something that is being done by someone which is above your pay grade. So if you look around, you will find individuals really, really kind of keen to get onto something and do more than what their regular KPIs or whatever kind of, dictates them to, right? You have to figure out individuals who are really keen, kind of that eagerness to learn and that attitude, if it is there, just, give them those responsibilities, and you as a business is going to flourish because it will give you out more time as the business owner to do things that you should be doing rather than, the regular operational things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great, Brand. This has been a great conversation, but now is the time for rapid fire. No, we're not going to like that. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. Your last Google search.
It probably had something to do with investing because I love to invest on the side. So I was probably looking for an ETF of some kind or another.
Okay. All right. The next one, we know that you have 4 kids, but your celebrity crush.
I don't do a whole lot of media, so I am terrible with celebrities. I am despite what people might think or not think, I'm really thankful for someone like Elon Musk, who is not getting paid by the government, but is trying to do something that he believes in. And I admire him for the industries he's moved into and done a great job growing companies. He's not the one building all the rockets, but he's put the right people together. So I'm grateful for people that are inspiring like that.
Very nice. All right, your favorite sport?
Ooh, it used to be soccer, but ultimate frisbee is the current winner, which is real similar. We play twice a week, my wife and I, so we enjoy that.
Nice. All right, and what did you do with the first paycheck, Brian? First paycheck of your life?
I was always a saver. I probably saved most of it because you're going to need it at some point in the future. So,
yeah. All right, Brian, you have been a sport. We'll not grill you any further. Thank you so much for taking out time to do this with us. Really appreciate it. And for our audiences, if they want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Yeah, so our website is steckinsights.com. You can find us on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., all at Steck Insights. And yeah, I'd love to talk with you.
Lovely. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.